Welcome back to the Work of Wellbeing podcast. I'm Amy Green, your host from The Wellness Strategy, and we're here to talk about all things personal and professional wellbeing. This podcast is designed to help you become curious and consider your everyday wellbeing strategies, what you do for your own wellness, and how you can start to transform your life both in and out of the workplace. Sit back, grab a cup of tea, maybe grab a notepad, a journal, and get ready to feel really enlightened about what wellbeing used to be, what it is now, and where you can take your own wellness strategy. Hello and welcome back to the Work of Wellbeing podcast. I'm Amy from The Wellness Strategy, your host. Today we're going to talk about a crucial piece of data that I think many of us are underestimating, not paying attention to, and undervaluing in terms of its importance and the impact it can have. Now, in schools, if you've listened to the podcast episode I have with the lovely Dr. Selena Fisk around data, you would have heard her say, no school ever says we don't have enough data. What we have is an abundance of data. So much of it, it doesn't really matter what area, there's data that exists. And I think we're great at collecting data, but we're not so great at doing things with it. And in the space of staff wellbeing, that's essentially the same. But if I'm really honest with you, I think the most important data around staff wellbeing is actually the narrative. It's the story. And when we use qualitative data and surveys and questionnaires, and we look at numbers and statistics, like that is important, that is essential. We do need to know that as well. But there's some data that I think is going unnoticed, and it's not necessarily in the formal qualitative space of questioning as opposed to that quantitative of numbers, statistics, etc. And we can do that, and I do that, and we can run forums or discussion groups to collect that qualitative, definitely. But you know where I think it really sits? It sits in those incidental conversations that we have. Really important data sits in conversations happening at lunchtime around the staff room table. It sits in questions being asked or not asked at the end of a staff meeting. It sits in someone popping into your office if you're a leader, asking you something or questioning something or wanting more information or just sharing something. It sits in the conversations we have in corridors when we're passing one another, or in emails back and forward where we're perhaps being a little bit more relaxed with one another, sharing things. It lies in our facial expressions. When we answer the question, how are you? It exists in the looks people give each other or that we give others. That data that we may not be seeing as data is so important in the space of staff wellbeing, knowing how people are, culture, whether we need to improve or shift or grow, or whatever that might be, because it actually highlights what's going on, not just in terms of surface level, but beneath the surface. You see, as people, our feelings and our emotions are the drivers of who we are, because we feel and then think. We are derived by feeling and emotion all of the time. And without going down the path of emotional health, agility and awareness, and that we can control our emotions, etc., we can't deny that in the glances people give each other, in the comments people make, in the conversations that happen at lunchtime, that meaningful data exists there. Like, it really does. It also exists in what is said and what's not said. It exists in flippant throwaway comments like, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm stressed. We accept this as the normal, or we let looks go by without questioning them. And when we do that, I think we're really missing an opportunity here, because the looks, the comments, I'm just so busy, that is data if we inquire into it, which we can. It will give us things that are sitting beneath the surface that we might not even know or be aware of or consider or think about. And so in this space of staff wellbeing, of course, we want to have the quantitative of how many people feel fulfilled, or how many people feel like they have autonomy, or how many people can create positive emotions. Like, that's cool stuff to have too, right? But I think if we're really talking about improvement and change, whilst we might want to focus on things that we're doing well to make them even better, we have to get better at having conversations around, oh, you've said the last few weeks that you've been stressed. What's that about? Or, gosh, we use the word busy a lot when we talk to one another. Let's spend a moment really talking about what we're doing with our time and whether we're being efficient or whether there's something we need to let go of. Like, where is this coming from? We need to be curious about this informal data and actually see it as data so that we can drive some kind of change that moves people out of this state. Now, a few things could be happening. Often we use words like busy, stressed, overwhelmed to describe how we're feeling because that's been the accepted norm. And it's like, oh, well, if I don't say I'm busy and I say I'm feeling great, then am I going to belong here because maybe we've built a culture on busy? Or, if I'm not busy, then people won't think I'm working hard enough, so I better maintain and keep that up. So we need to be aware of, first of all, like, what's that about, and start to move into it or lean into that. People might also use those words because that's what they've done forever. Like, that's the extent of their vocab, or another way of describing how they're feeling hasn't occurred to them. So we need to be able to say, oh, I've noticed the last few weeks you've been saying you're feeling stressed. Like, where are you? If, like, I'm ridiculously stressed at a 10 out of 10 and ones I'm coping, like, where are you? And people might say, oh, like, I'm a 2 or 3. And so they're probably not stressed. They're probably just working hard, or got a few things going on, but it's not stress, but that's the word they use. So we've got to be really mindful of that. What we then need to do is be prepared to ask the bigger questions around what's causing the stress, what's causing the overwhelm. Hey, I noticed you two had a few raised eyebrows. Like, what's going on? These incidental behaviors and language that we use are signs for perhaps what is and isn't working. And what we try and do instead is formalize it. Oh, I've noticed a few people haven't been engaged in discussions. I've noticed some people are feeling a bit flat. Maybe we should do a survey or a questionnaire to see how people are so we can capture that data. Great. You might want to do that. Sometimes we need the humanness. Sometimes we need the conversation that allows us to really inquire into what's happening. And we look for quick fixes when this happens. Instead, we look for things like surveys or questionnaires because we think that's going to give us the answer, when we really need to slow down. We need to slow down and come back to, what is important here? Is it just about collecting data, or do we need to come back to relationships? Do we need to start asking questions around, I can see what's happening with people, or I'm getting a sense of something. It's an opportunity to build that psychological safety, to enhance that trust, and to bring them into the design of moving forward, or moving away, or moving towards something, or being solutions focused. And if we rely on surveys rather than the conversation, we just don't do that so well. We don't do that as well as we can. And I think when I think about that, I think we're missing things. I think in the space of data and the data that really matters, it's how people show up every day. And when we give ourselves the opportunity to see what that is, not just for ourselves, but others, we can also give ourselves the opportunity to start asking the question, how do I want people to show up? And when we can visibly see that as data, that's when we know we're on the right track. So I would love to hear from you. Like, what data do you have? What do you have an abundance of under the banner of staff wellbeing? Do you do anything with it? And are you actually paying attention to the informal data, the corridor conversations, the staff room conversations, the conversations around the lunch table, the glances people are giving each other? And are you using that and questioning it, or are you perhaps doing it as you could? As always, it's been great to talk about these things. Big topics, I know. If there's anything that has sparked your interest, or if there's anything you think that's worth discussing further, share it with someone, have the conversation. What other data are we observing that we think we need to explore more, for whatever reason that might be? As always, I'd love to hear it. Share, like, tag, do whatever it is you do with podcasts. Have a great day, evening, night, and I'll see you somewhere soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really do hope you have enjoyed it. The information discussed today was just that, information only. It's not specific advice. If you take action following something you heard today, it's important to make sure that you get professional advice about your unique situation before you proceed, whether that advice be legal, financial, accounting, medical, or otherwise. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or if there's anything else I can do to support your own wellbeing and wellness journey, whether it's another topic you'd like me to discuss or whether it's support in your school, workplace, or individually. And if you do know someone who might benefit from listening to this, please remember to tell them about it, share the episode with them, or suggest my Instagram, my website, or LinkedIn where they can find out more about me and what I do. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.